I'm new. First day. Hey, how's it going? I'm here with my buddy Magnus Walker, who's going to walk in just a few minutes.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, oh, I don't even think this mic's on. This is great.
Oh,
What a disaster! What a disaster! Oh, now we're here with Magnus Walker. Anyway, hello, Lauren. Hello, everybody at home. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things you're supposed to do on YouTube. We're on Facebook as well as Instagram, and our guest this evening is Mr. Magnus Walker. We're going to be talking about the last 2 weeks at the Petersen Auto Museum for Urban Outlaw 10, as well as you got a new show we're going to be talking about, a new car show.
Read the subtitles.
And there's a lot of other stuff as well. All right, come on over here with me. Let's see. Mike, what's going on in Canada? No, you're there. You're fine. There's too many things happening. Mike, how are you up in Canada?
Hey, everybody.
Sorry I'm shouting.
Hey, I hope you're all doing very well.
We are doing well. I'm sorry I'm shouting. I will settle down here in just 1 second. Hello to the folks on Instagram and whatever. Let's just fire it off. Will, take it away. Kevin, you gonna buy a Beamer? We have done it. That's it. We're here. We're sitting down. The bubbles are clearing. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. It is Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. We got a good guest in the name of Mr. Magnus Walker this evening. We're going to be talking about, it's the last 2 weeks of the Urban Outlaw. Excuse the bubbles as they clear the room. It's the last 2 weeks of Urban Outlaw 10 at the Petersen Automotive Museum down there in the vault. Get your vault tickets. Go over to the Petersen, check it out. And we got a new show coming up, and there's a lot of stuff in the world of Mr. Magnus Walker. He's spinning a lot of plates these days, so we're going to find out what's happening with him. In the meantime, we've had some great guests lately. I just want to say thank you to all of them, including today. But it's been a great run. I keep trying to schedule a crew show where just the three of us will have a little chat. Also, let's bring this to Mr. Mike in here. Hi, Mr. Mike. When I was a kid, there was a toy called Mr. Microphone. Everybody who wanted to be on the radio wanted a Mr. Microphone. Hi, Mr. Microphone. What's happening?
Hey, everybody. It's great to see you. How are you all today?
I'm fine. I can't figure out what's happening here. I haven't cut it yet because I'm kind of trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen. It's really gotten out of control. I mean, it's really gotten out of control. And it's going to get a little further out of control before we decide to do something with it. But that's going on with me. Letterman Podcast, you've got some great stuff going on lately, but also this week. You put up a bonus episode today, is that right?
We did. We put up a bonus episode, community episode with a couple of guys who had an amazing story about one-day turnaround time flying across the country to see one of Dave's very last shows. They came on and told their story. That was very good. We got Rupert G coming out on Friday, and then yesterday we filmed a marathon podcast with late night writer who moved on to The Simpsons and a whole bunch of other stuff, Jeff Martin. So lots of good stuff.
Awesome. I am so impressed that you got Rupert G to do a podcast with you. You've already done it. It's actually happened.
It has happened. It is nearly 2 hours long, and he tells a whole pile of behind-the-scenes things that has never been told before.
I'm really glad. He's the best. We love him. In fact, as a matter of fact, let's take this opportunity to say the Hello Deli is your only source for officially licensed Late Show with David Letterman merchandise. If you're looking for a hat or a mug or a T-shirt or any of the things from the old Late Show days, or you want to support everything that's going on these days with Worldwide Pants, Rupert G and the Hello Deli are the only place to do it. So go to hello-deli.com, say hello to Rupert, tell him that Nicole says hello also, because oftentimes
I cannot.
Yeah. Oh, great. All right, a quick check-in with the MS, or with the Nicole on the MS. You have been doing a lot of new things lately. You've had occupational therapists coming to the house. You've had physical therapists coming to the house. This is an awful lot of physical activity for you compared to what you usually do and what I know you usually to be able to do. How are you feeling?
Very tired. I keep getting caught up with how short these therapy sessions are, and
They're like a half hour each?
15 minutes.
Wow, okay.
And I'm worn out by the halfway through the day.
Wow. Well, it's good. I mean, is it good? They say exercise is good for MS, but from my experience, it just wears you out further.
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
It's 6.5 dozen the other.
Okay. All right,
So
but you're trying it.
It's good to me to have circulation happening, so I'll
In
do
your body? Movement?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like that ultimately will carry through this other thing.
As a good benefit type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Instagram. We'll get Magnus will be in here in a second. All right, let's. I'm glad that you're doing all of these things. We're seeing a new neurologist. There's just a lot of new things going on. Who knows what'll make a difference and what won't, but the fact that you're at least trying things is very good for you. It's very good for the foundation. It's very good for everybody you're trying to help by telling and sharing your story.
I think so too.
All right, good for you.
And I have an ophthalmology appointment next week.
Ophthalmology appointment?
Yeah, I'll get glasses and look cool.
Okay. Excellent. Let's see. There's an East Coast feed, but I think maybe we'll do it. Well, I think it's quick. Let's see how quick it is. Famous last words. All right. It's Danbury Chive, and he appears to be in the sauna here. So let's just check it out, see where he's at. Roll it out.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, East Coast feed, coming to you from the sauna with my friend Hershey. In here today because I'm trying to sweat out the COVID cold that is apparently going around again. Lots of fun, regardless if you have a vaccine or not or whatever. You have it, so I'm in the sauna. And I was just listening to the Rain episode. Great. I listened to it mostly live yesterday. I was one with the Super question because I'm a huge fan of the Super movie. It was great. And Brooke's a huge fan of The Office. So for Christmas, I got her a plaque for her door to her room that says Brooke's Office, and it looks just like the Office logo. I know, Jay, you're not a huge fan and you didn't see the show, obviously. But it's pretty funny. It's actually very good. But yeah, just want to say some East Coast love from being home with the vids. Later.
All right. Wow. Gee, find the camera. Holy crap. Went through the whole thing here. I love that East Coast feed, and thanks for the support. Very cool. He's just the best. Oh, you know what? Crap. I wanted to put it in here, and I didn't. He sent me a picture today. I'll just hold it up, I guess. Crap, I really want to put it in there. I'm going to hold it up to Instagram first, and then we'll do it that way. This is, it's Seinfeld's R was in for service the other day. Seinfeld's 911R. If you can see that. Isn't that a beautiful car? It's not actually white. It's kind of that, whatever that off-white is.
Ooh, that's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
it's very, very pretty. But... It's hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me that the dealerships that service the celebrity cars now. It's getting to be. Remember when Chris Farley show coming up? Everybody, remember when you were in the Beatles? That was awesome. When we were doing your whatever, it doesn't matter. But this seems to be paralleling the car business. The car world seems to be paralleling the Hollywood world with like paparazzi, and car spotting is a thing now, and people have hundreds of thousands of followers on these car spotting, and all they're doing is like following celebrities around like paparazzi. But it's not people; it's the cars.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Okay. Wasted a bunch of time. Sorry. Okay. Not you, me. And, okay, huge thanks to our friend Sean Lee, who bequeathed me with this limited edition copy of Gran Turismo 25 for the PS5. This is a hell of a time killer. I used to play Gran Turismo way back in the day, apparently 25 years ago when it came out. Boy, with my buddy Dan Marie Chive. Very funny. We were the little PlayStation buddies who had that, PlayStation 1. And this game changed everything back then. It was just better than anything that had come before it. And there were a number of years there where I thought that maybe they had sort of lost their title as the pinnacle driving game, because I was really digging Forza. In fact, I 10 or so years on Forza, 15 years, whatever it's been, almost exclusively. And then this Gran Turismo 7 came out in the 25th anniversary. And anyway, I put this thing in. The graphics are amazing. The gameplay is amazing. But what I'm experiencing is crazy nostalgia. I remember racing on the high-speed ring or doing the deep forest, whatever, the loop. It's really, really cool. If you don't have this game and you're into driving games, highly recommend it. I don't need to be the one to tell people that Gran Turismo is a good game, but I'm back into it. It's really good. Check out Porsche Life 111 if you want to drive. Not with me, but we can compete against times and stuff. I don't like playing with people online. But I love competing, with times. Like, I got a 142.3. What did you get on that? I got a 141.609. Oh, shit. All right, I got my work cut out for me. Also, since we're doing viewer mail and stuff, this is a bunch of miniature Back to the Future time machines that were given to us by Frank. Here we go. Do this again. Frank, thanks for the miniature time machines. Wow, did you see that? Just went through time there. Can't see shit here. Yeah, whatever. All right, so that's and in the next week, maybe even on Thursday, but in the next week, we should have exciting announcements on the Happy Meal print from the Atomic Age for the Autoimmunity Foundation. You know the artwork already. The massive print is in the other room. We got it back. It's stretched. Everything's beautiful. Now the rest is getting these to you. So it's a work in progress. Stay tuned. All right. Did we do everything?
I think so.
All right. I don't think we even need to do a break because I think we did all the cameras and everything. Now, I wish I'd written an introduction, though. The Urban Outlaw himself. How would I introduce him to you? You don't need an introduction. You already know him. Magnus Walker, everybody! Yeah!
Welcome on, I love that haircut.
I love it.
I
You love
that
it.
haircut.
I love it.
You two are looking kind of similar here with the haircut. Come on. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm growing mine out. She cut hers.
When did you get the haircut? A couple of weeks ago?
I think so.
A couple weeks ago, we did it live on the show.
Live on the show.
Yep.
Well, it looks awesome. Suits you.
Thanks.
See more of your face. It's a flattering haircut. Whoever did that did a good job, I think.
Andrea Skelton.
All right, there you go.
Yep.
I haven't had a haircut in about 30 years. It's, just kind of going gray and falling out, and the beard's shorter than it should be, and I'm dealing with split ends, so that's a very, very good haircut.
I feel like your babushka sells the whole thing right now. It makes it look like none of that is happening.
This is LA winter. It's cold out there. It's rainy out there. Things are going on out there. It's a crazy world.
I think maybe today is the first day it's felt like LA again in the past, 3 weeks with all this weather. How have you been dealing with all the weather between cars and properties and dogs?
Multiple leaky roofs and flat batteries and things that are overflowing and water going where it shouldn't go, and waking up at 1 a.m. in the morning with a river flowing down the road, heading towards my front door, getting sandbags out. That's life in the hills, I guess. And then mudslides, big mudslides.
Was this your first time dealing with all that stuff?
Well, I've been dealing with the leaky roof downtown for a long time. The 120-year-old warehouse that's big. It's got over almost 15,000 square feet of almost flat roof, so that leaks all the time in different places. And then the new house in the hills, the 100-year-old house, that's the work in progress up there over the hill over yonder. it's not just the house, it's the road itself next to the house where there's no drain, no curb, no gutter, and then a steep hillside, which they just did the brush clearance on, not our property, but literally across the road. So typical LA stuff, they do brush clearance, right, to prevent fires, and then it rains, and then it rains again, and then it keeps raining. And I literally woke up at 1 a.m. last Monday when it was really heavy, you know, and we had like 1,000% more rain than you normally get in a month in one night.
Yep.
And the road was literally flooded, and the road sort of, it's weird. We built this nice little curved fence, and we realized, why is our house sort of below the level of the road? And when we did this fence, we realized the original road from 100 years ago that was concrete was 12 inches lower than where it is now. So the city of LA street maintenance, when it comes to repairing roads, they don't really do it properly. They just throw a couple of inches of tarmac on it or asphalt and build it up. Just go on top. So the road now is about 12 inches higher, if you can believe it or not, from where it originally was. But it's pitched sort of on this curve. Anyway, it sort of pitches towards our front door where there's no curb. So last Monday, I'm in 2-inch of water in these, getting soaking wet, moving sandbags around, trying to create a gutter so the water's not going to flow right under our front door. You know, we're on a hill and it kind of slopes down. And then right opposite us, there's a really steep hill, which now is a ravine with a stream running down it where it just dumped all this mud onto what was already a very, very narrow road. So, you know, it's just become like a real mess up there. It's still muddy. The road is a lot narrower. It's now like a dirt road. Saturday morning, you know, we're like, okay, we're going to lay in on Saturday morning. At 6:30 in the morning, we awake to this weird sound, which turns out to be an Amazon Prime truck, like not the UPS style one that's like 30 feet long and 14 feet high.
Like a box truck?
Like a big box truck, like a 30-foot long distribution box truck, not the take it down a windy, hilly road to deliver stuff truck. Anyway, it's managed to get itself wedged under this live oak tree trying to navigate around the corner where we are.
I caught it on a limb.
Yeah, literally just wedged in. And these two numbnuts that are driving the Amazon thing, they can't figure out how to back out, so they're calling for service. And this is all like 6:30 in the morning.
No, but they're help. Oh God, it's a calamity of problems.
Yeah, in the end, we had to move a car. I had to back them out. I had to navigate them around the corner, trying to avoid the mudslide, but not hitting the fence. So it's not just the leaky roof; it's the mudslide, and it's the city that's not clearing the roads. You know, like most people would just snowplow it right, but not LA. They're not doing any mud clearance. They just figure, okay, the road is now even narrower than it was before. It's now like probably 5-6 feet wide now. And there's literally about an 18-inch mud berm that just washed out this ravine.
Does the mud berm then at least work to your advantage of keeping it then channeled in a certain direction?
No, because unfortunately the mud berm was sort of part of what was causing it to get redirected towards our front door. It sort of spun around and made a U-turn. But, you know, LA's weird. Like every other city where it rains most of the time, they've figured out drainage and sewers and curbs and gutters. But not LA.
They keep their water too. We don't. We dump our wash water right out into the ocean.
Yeah, yeah. It just washes all the trash down. And you know, I saw a post from my buddy Brooklyn Dom. He's got that sneaker store down on Melrose where his store was flooded on Tuesday morning.
On Melrose.
Yeah, on Melrose, because the city likes to sort of close the gutters so trash doesn't wash into the bay to heal the bay. But they don't bother opening those gutters when it rains or when they know it's going to rain. So, of course, the water just comes over the sidewalk 8-inch high and rolls into everyone's store on Melrose. Oh, my God. So this is, you know, weathering the storm, the L.A. winter storm of leaky roofs and mudslides and washed out whatever.
The first time I ever went to your new house, the house you're describing in the hills, I came in the bottom, so I didn't see the top till the end. But when I got to the top, I said to you, it felt like a drawbridge. It seems like you got a drawbridge type of situation
right,
here.
We kind of do. So when I woke up, when I woke up on the Monday a week ago at 1 a.m. in the morning, that drawbridge, which does have an angle and pitch down from the road, the water was about 6 inch deep there on the drawbridge, and it was about an inch. I've got that Union Jack doormat, and it was about literally an inch from just flooding into the kitchen, which then goes down 2 stories below. Hence why I had to get out the sandbags, which we were sort of prepared, but not fully prepared. But we did manage to divert the water away from the drawbridge, and then I got the sump pump, which is pumping out the pond that's overflowing, you know, like 50 feet below because all that soakage
Oh
is
my God.
just coming down the hill. And now a week later, it's still, I'm like, where is this water coming from? It's just still saturated on the hillside, just seeping to the lowest point, which happens to be where the pond is. And
Also, so much for the little oasis that you created out
Well,
there.
it's
Nature
still-
was like, fuck you and your oasis.
it's still pretty tropical, and on our part, nothing actually washed away. It just sort of flooded on the bottom level. So anyway, that's
Oh my
kind of what I've
gosh.
been up to. And then,
Well, you're also working on that house at the same
yeah,
time.
we're still working on that house. I had a little Instagram post where we are looking for tradespeople. You know, finally after like 18 months of owning it and not fully moving in and putting up with contractors that don't show up and don't communicate, I'm like, okay, we need a little bit of help. So if anyone's out there that's watching that can do various things such as wrought iron balconies and carpentry and some finish work and some painting, give me a call.
Sounds like metalwork, woodwork, and laborers.
Yeah, a little bit of that. And then people that can help, you know, clearing mud, because I'm not going to wait for the city. So, you know, I'm going to start clearing mud myself.
So you have to deal with all. You literally have
I
to
don't
deal
think
with
we
all that.
have to, but I'm one of those people that, you know, I would sooner deal with it myself than wait for the city to come and deal with it.
Right. Or call the insurance company.
Yeah,
or
because,
whatever.
you know, they're taking the time, and obviously it's not a priority.
You have an awful lot of other creative endeavors and other things going on at the same time as these natural crises that are raining down on you.
Yeah, when it rains,
no
it
pun
pours.
necessary, yeah.
When it rains, it pours.
What else is going on?
Well, I'm dealing with some car issues. You know, I've got that, you know, the 172,000 mile 991 Turbo S. So, you know, somehow I've been driving all the other stuff. I hadn't driven that car in a couple of weeks. Turned out the battery was dead. Wouldn't start, dead battery. So we try to charge the battery, no big deal. Battery won't take a charge. Then we go buy a new battery. And in all the old cars I've got, you just put the new battery in, that's it. Not in a 991 Turbo S. Put the battery in, all of a sudden I've got these codes that are malfunctioning. I've got some steering wheel malfunction. Somehow the turbo tail went up, but now it won't come down.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So, you know,
These are
I'm
ones
dealing.
and zero problems.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that. So today I dropped that off at downtown LA Porsche. I'm like, just reboot this thing. You know, I can barely turn a computer on, let alone sort of restarting a computer in a car.
I didn't change anything. The battery just went dead. Fix
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, I just assumed you'd put a battery in and that would be it, but
Right.
not with these electrical gremlins and little computer glitches on a 991 Turbo S. And like, why this turbo tail went up but now won't come down, but the front sort of splitter diffuser, not that I ever really use it, but that doesn't function anymore. So the turbo,
weird.
the
It
tail's
should be
stuck
together.
up. Yeah, they should be together. And I never put the tail up unless, you know, I'm in sport mode going really fast. I'm not one of those guys that likes it up to pose around town.
At the red light.
Yes, I'm
Keep
like,
it-
I'm trying to get this thing down. It won't go down. So anyway, I dropped that off this morning and then walked all the way from basically where they are, south of the 10 freeway on my epic downtown LA walk back to the warehouse in the Arts District.
That's when I talked to you on the phone during that walk.
Yeah.
How many steps are you up to today?
Today's 14,000. I'm not done.
At 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Last year I wore the soles of these guys out doing 2,000 miles. See how they're worn out there?
Yeah, but you did this to a couple pairs, I think, right?
Yeah, this is pair number 2, but this was pretty much last year's pair that did, if you can see that right there. I averaged over 11,000 steps a day, which comes up to over 2,000 miles. So I'm living up to my last name. I'm all about walking around. If it's not walking Willow in the Hills, it's these urban inspirational walks downtown. So it's funny, I drop off the car, and of course, you know, the song Nobody Walks in LA, the friendly people down there at DTLA Porsche are like, you want to ride back? I go, no, I'll walk. They go, you sure? Like somehow no one's going to make that 3-mile
You're
walk.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we're keeping your car.
That's right. So, you know, I had that great... I love downtown. As much as I love Hollywood, I still really love downtown. That's kind of where my heart is. So I'm doing this, like, if you ever get a chance, just walk Broadway from, like, Olympic all the way up to where it ends. It's just such an epic street. All those old movie theaters, the Orpheum, the Eastern Building.
Like the Broadway bar. That's Broadway, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, I
yeah.
guess.
You know, but it's all
So I know
about
what
the
you're
movie
talking about.
theaters. If you've watched The Big Lebowski, you know, they overlook the Los Angeles theater where there's that top floor loft.
It's all the old ornate marquees
Yeah,
and stuff.
from like the 20s and 30s. Super cool. So anyway, I've been doing a lot of walking. I'm 2 weeks to go on my UO10 exhibition at the Petersen.
How does it feel?
It's weird. I mean, time has flown. You were there when we moved the cars in,
Yeah.
and that was a week before it opened, so that was over 3 months ago. And time just flies. You know, we're halfway through January, right? I'm still riding 2022 on stuff and not remembering that it's actually 2023. And I go, you know, WTF, right? You know, it's like that show has been there 3 months. And it's weird when we were first talking about it, doing it with the Petersen, they said they needed the cars for 3.5 months. I'm like, no way, I can't live without those babies for 3.5 months. Well, I realized I can actually live without a few of them for 3.5 months. But yeah, time moves extremely quick. But overall, it's been great. I'm going to the Petersen at least 3-4 times a week, sometimes twice a day. The exhibition has broken attendance records, so they're happy about that. Cool. I'm pretty happy about that as well.
It seems like anytime I see somebody I know who posts that they went to go see the exhibit, you are there to talk to them, to meet people. So you have been spending a tremendous amount of time there. It's not just like PR.
No. I mean, for me, it's like the whole point of it was relocating my garage to the Petersen Museum. So normally I would just meet these people at my garage downtown. The difference is now there's a lot of organized tours. Like on Sunday, for example, it's funny because I often joke about the PCA and members of the PCA with the little badges on. Well, Sunday, I'm doing a tour for the Santa Barbara region of the Porsche Club of America for 80 of their members. Oh, okay. And the average age is probably 75 years old, and, they're all 356 owners. So it was kind of funny to actually be doing it. There you go. You've got one. There you go. J. Ryan, Porsche Club of America, L.A. region there.
That's right. That's what it was.
There you go. Right there, L.A. region. Yeah, there are a lot of these badges on Sunday. So I've been doing a lot, I'm doing everything from just meeting people there, 2-3 people, to 80 people from the Porsche Club Santa Barbara region.
Avant had a huge thing there, a membership thing.
Right.
Where they
had 75 people the week before. So there seems to be a lot of interest for people to actually see it. I mean, for me, I'm super proud of it, for various reasons. It's good to have the cars in that space. I think ultimately it's good for credibility. It's good for exposure. For me, I've seen those cars before, but in my garage, they're packed pretty tightly together. In the Petersen, they're spread out with some room around them. And then you can
step back and see.
Yeah, you can step back and take a look. There's a full story there, all the artwork on the wall, the 10 years worth of looped videos. I don't have that stuff at the warehouse downtown.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean.
I can't sleep. I'm going to go down to the garage.
Yeah, put on YouTube.
See some of my.
So it's a feel-good thing for me to go there. It's kind of like an extension of downtown, and I actually think I'm going to miss it when I'm not there, and that's when I'll kick off doing the docent tour. And then the Petersen's got a few other things coming up I'm going to be involved in. So
that must be nice. It must be nice being. I feel like at one point it was sort of, there was the Porsche world where perhaps your type wasn't necessarily accepted at some point.
Men with beards.
At some point that
weren't wearing a little PCA badge.
At some point that went away and it became acceptable. And then it's like, well, geez, now you're allowed into Museum Row. And what else? I mean, they're going to Rodeo Drive next, I guess.
can just walk into the Petersen any time of the day, it seems, and no one stops me anymore.
No.
No one asks me what I'm doing. Excuse me, sir, you're too close to the exhibit.
It's nice. You're opening doors for the rest of us.
Opening doors. Yeah. I think we talked about it when I was last here before it opened up, how they were kind of surprised that I wasn't going to lock the car doors and I wasn't putting velvet ropes around them. And
the things on the walls, they were worried about security.
Well, 3 months later, that letter from Porsche is still on the wall. They were super concerned about that. Remember, is that the original letter? I go, yeah. They go, you might want to make a copy of that. Well, with 2 weeks to go, it's still on the wall, so time will tell. It survived 3 months there.
Well, you're there all the time to protect it, too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, high security at the Petersen.
A lot of my friends, my Porsche friends specifically, are very excited because you've driven some of their cars for your new show. Can you talk
OPP.
about that at all?
Sure.
You're posting about it, so it's not a secret, right?
Not a secret. I'm down with OPP, you know me. By Friday, I will have finally shot 5 episodes, which seems to be more of a challenge than I thought it would be. The shooting bit's the easy bit. It's just sort of finding this little team together that can shoot and edit on a shoestring budget because there's no one behind it. It's a YouTube show, fuel for the fire, just me sort of exploring other people's Porsches. For the most part, mostly modified. The goal ultimately will be to do 1 a week.
Oh.
I'm going to roll them out 2 a month just to sort of feel it out. No release date set yet, but I'm thinking of doing it, stop the presses, January 31st, the day the UO10 exhibition ends. Seems like a natural time to start, OPP. I'll do one 2 weeks later, which, might be Valentine's Day special or something like that. Before you know it, it'll be Memorial Day, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year, and the year will have gone, right? So got to keep rolling.
So it's not like you're gonna. Once I get 10 in the bank, we'll start earning like probably maybe the end of January.
Yeah, I'm thinking January 31st. I said it was coming in January. We're already halfway through. It would seem, maybe if the exhibition's ending January 31st on a Tuesday. Tuesday seems like a good day. Turbo Tuesday to roll out what will be the first episode.
Turbo car.
Well, I'm not going to say.
Okay.
A little hint, Turbo Tuesday, but
Nothing official.
nothing official. So y'all out there, keep calm, patience. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I shot last week down in San Pedro.
David Keen's
904, which was
that
great.
car.
Can't talk too much about it because I don't want to give the game away.
I loved that car when it had its previous owner, but it was a completely different car. I mean, he has...
Wasn't
I'm
a
sure he told you
904.
this story.
Wasn't a plastic Porsche.
It was that, and that's about all that was the same. It was
Yeah.
a 993 powered Beck 904. But what David Keen's has done to that car, I can't wait to see featured on your show.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. He's a cool dude. So it was fun hanging out with him.
You're both cool dudes. You're both very creative, artistic, right-brain people, I think.
Right brain. Is there another brain? Left brain.
Are you left brain?
I don't know. I've got one brain. That's about it.
Are you more balanced on the? I'm for sure more right than left. For
What
sure.
is the difference?
Creative versus analytical.
Oh,
More intuitive versus.
I'm right brain.
Business smart.
I'm right brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so far I'm just having fun shooting them, and like always, the challenge is the edit of them. But
Are you self-producing these again? Are you? Is this?
yeah,
your
I mean, this is
undertaking?
just a tight little team. Yeah, there's no one behind it. It's like I say, for my own YouTube channel that tends to get forgotten.
This is going to be on your YouTube.
My YouTube channel.
Kick ass.
On my YouTube channel.
Great.
So OPP on my YouTube channel.
I don't know if everybody knew that or not, but I think it's great that you're building your YouTube channel a little bit because it could and should be huge.
Yeah, I've had it for 10 years since the film came out, but I've never really done a ton of stuff with it. I've shot a lot of other people's shows where, you'll end up just putting a link to it back to my channel. In the early days, I did shoot quite a lot of stuff with E-Garage and people like that. And then I just sort of started traveling and didn't really give it much attention. Almost forgot about it myself. It's so easy just to put stuff up on IG.
Yeah.
But you realize there's more to life than Instagram. Like those people from the PCA region, Santa Barbara, the average age is 75. They're not on Instagram. They don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, they can probably figure out YouTube. So let's not forget YouTube.
No, you're bringing up good points. We just recently started going on Facebook, and we're getting some traction on Facebook, which is weird to me because I'm barely on Facebook. I mean, I'm really not on Facebook.
I'm the same way. I'll post to Instagram and link to Facebook.
Right.
But I never go on Facebook to actually read anything or engage.
Right. I'll get messages from 6 months ago on there.
I don't even know who's following there or what the comments. I just don't go there. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think the right brains have to go where they're drawn.
Yeah. Path of least resistance.
Yeah, I think your whole outlaw persona probably aligns with right brain. I would think the fact that I don't fit in. I'm a nonconformist. Although I wouldn't consider you a nonconformist because it's not like you just break rules. It's not like you're against. You know what I mean? Like I don't think of you that way, like an old school outlaw.
No. I'm not Josie Wales.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying getting what I meant. Yeah. But where did the outlaw thing come from? Was that you or was that Tamir?
No, it was neither. It was give credit where credit's due. It was an article in Total 9/11 that came out before the Urban Outlaw film came out in 2011. So Lee Sibley at Total 9/11 had wrote an article, which my buddy Maurice took some of the photos for, the Dutchman. But long story, they just named the article Urban Outlaw. Me living in the urban environment downtown, doing something, with Porsches that wasn't traditional, hence Outlaw.
Porsche outlaw.
Yeah, the dad did an interview for Hemmings News. They're doing an article on outlaw Porsches, and they want to know, what is an outlaw Porsche? I go, well, you probably start with James Dean and Little Bastard, right? In the 50s. That's probably the first really famous modified outlaw Porsche.
He was wrenching on it himself, right?
Yeah, and just the fact that it got some pinstripes done by Von Dutch, and he called it a Little Bastard, and it was hot rodded out.
Yeah,
and
I forgot it did
Dean
actually say Little
Jeffries
Bastard
and stuff like that. I go, okay, if I'm gonna say where did outlaw Porsches begin, it began there with James Dean. and that's almost 70 years
Gotta
ago.
agree.
So, Porsche's celebrating its 75th anniversary this year. By the end of the year, we will be sick of 75th anniversary editions of everything from cars to sunglasses to shoes to watches, right? We're going to be over it. But, the momentum is building towards June 8th with the 75th anniversary of all things Porsche. So, but when it comes to outlawing, like this guy was asking me at Hemmings, so talk about outlaw Porsches. I go, well, we've got to start with James Dean if we're going to talk about outlaw Porsches and then go the whole way through.
It seems like there's a big gap between James Dean and Rod Emery. What happened in the middle there? Because everybody was always sort of, there's the guy from the Mulholland Racers, the famous guy who had
in
that
the
RSR.
70s, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the 60s, people were modifying 356s.
Okay.
And then Rod's uncle, right, was modifying in the 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. And then Rod's dad, Gary, had parts obsolete in the 70s and 80s.
So they were selling stuff to the hot rodders.
Yeah, I think people have always been hot rodding. You look at cars in the 60s, people were modifying 911s to go racing, right? Mm-hmm. In the 70s, people were doing the same thing. By the late 70s, people are widening and more of a race performance modification. By the 80s, I think you got Miami Vice doing slant nose conversions. Uh-huh. So you go, okay, 80s, this is big time. Kramer, DP doing the slant nose conversion 2-3 years before Porsche did it. They were doing it in the late 70s based on the 935 for the street. Porsche didn't actually do a slant nose conversion of their own 911 till 1982 with the special wishes, but Kramer and
is that where the look
DP
came from,
had
the
already
935? I didn't realize that. It makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, so go back, that's 40 years right there before Porsche did it. Well, 40 years ago since Porsche did it. So right. I think in a way people have been modifying cars forever, especially Porsches, but just maybe now there's more exposure because of social media and everything else that's going on, but it's nothing new, I don't think. Like TRE, right? I drove one of their cars, Rob Abbott, the ST build. They've been doing ST and RSRs and stuff like that. Probably realistically since the 80s, maybe started in the late 70s. So there's nothing really new here, I don't think. Just different flavor of different slice of the same cake.
Then what was it 10 years ago? Because it seemed like 10 or so years ago, your movie came out. Ron Emery was very big at the time. The outlaw culture was sort of being introduced to the mainstream because Porsche had whatever moniker before that. It sort of had its own stigma, and you guys were sort of breaking through that stigma. But it wasn't new to you. It was just new to everybody else. So it's almost like the curtain got pulled back 10 years ago.
Yeah, like I bought my first Porsche at the Pomona Swap Meet in 1992 when I was 25. I talk about that all the time. It was a $7,500 74 slant nose conversion. So that was done 35 years ago, back to the Miami Vice thing.
Right.
So the very first Porsche I ever owned was not stock. That was a 74 that had a steel slant nose body kit on it, wide-bodied. Actually was running a 2.7 motor in it, which had been modified slightly. Back to, I talk about 30 years ago when I first got into Porsches and bought one for $7,500. It was $7,500. It was affordable.
Right.
And parts were not expensive. And there were just a lot of these cars around that, it wasn't like the other day where they've become these holy grail items. Back then it was just a used car. So I don't think people cared quite as much about modifying them. At one time I had, for example, 5 67S's, which today's sort of a holy grail car.
Sure. And
it's a high dollar car. But the one that's there in the Petersen Museum, which perhaps one of my most performance-orientated builds, I bought it for $9,500. This says 67S. I paid $9,500 for it. And it was barely running. It had a basket case 2.2T motor in it. So it was non-numbers matching. It was just an old car with a non-original motor that had already sort of been messed around with. So when people go, a 67S, how could you chop that up? Well, it was already chopped up when I got it.
Right.
Because 20 years ago, it probably wasn't that special.
Right.
And if someone damaged the motor or blew the motor, and the conversation probably went like this: well, we can rebuild your original motor. It'll take 3 to 6 months and cost whatever. Call it $10,000.
Right.
Or there's a little 2.2T motor over there in the corner that we can have in your car next week running for $2,500. If someone didn't really care or didn't know what they had, they'd probably go, stick that 2.2T motor in.
Done. Absolutely.
Right? Path of least resistance.
Get me on the road.
That's it. So that's how these things got modified, chopped up. Because I always say, for the first 30 years of 911, up until the 993, everything's pretty much interchangeable with not a lot of work. It's like me putting the manual window and crank in the 1999 64. That manual window and crank came out of a 65 912, but it dropped straight in.
I love that.
It's like you could put a 3.8 liter motor in your 64 911. It bolts up with the same 4 bolts. Obviously, you got to change a few other things, but it's not like it's like rocket science or brain surgery to do that.
It's kind of Mr. Potato Head, actually.
Yeah, a little bit, but that was what was great about Porsches, I think. So people had always been, go faster, stop shorter, more power, right? Modification. It's been happening forever. You look at Andal, these people in the 70s, right? They were modifying cars. Streetcar variations, Brumos was doing it.
Yeah, this is true.
Anziano, Bad Boys, Stozaic, DP, Kramer, Gambala.
So then maybe we've been looking at the wrong thing. It's not so much that the outlaw culture got the light shined on it, maybe just so much as car culture was sort of coming around at the same time. Did your movie hit at the exact right time?
Well, timing's everything, right? Was Petrolicious around 10, 12 years ago? If they were barely starting. I don't really think they were around. No one really had cell phones the way they do now. It wasn't as easy to consume content like it is now. The phone goes everywhere with you, so you're not detached like you might be. Oh, I'm not set up my computer, I can't watch something. So I think it was just the environment has changed. When I talk about what Tamir did, because I've talked a lot about it in the past 3 months with the exhibition, because without his film Urban Outlaw, that exhibition would never have happened. He was just sort of set the bar pretty high and was ahead of what followed. You got to remember 12 years ago, we made the film 11 years ago. It came out 10 years ago.
Sure.
I think the environment for car culture wasn't as accessible as it is today.
Agreed.
So maybe news traveled slower. Maybe the spotlight wasn't shined on certain things like it is today. So I think that's it, really.
I think accessibility is a big part of it. I think you're right.
Excuse me, Jay.
Hi, buddy. What's up?
Oh, we got Canada.
Speaking of accessibility, and I don't know if this is OPP bait or not, but Uber Yo-Yo just messaged a fun tidbit. I have a buddy locally who has one of those first factory slant-nosed cars without the pop-ups.
Well, there you go. Let's get a hold of that guy.
Let's make an offer right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm down with OPP.
We have some, let's see, we've got some YouTube comments here as well. Jay Francis says, evening, everyone. Latimer Pacha's greeting. Okay, well, that's you. Greetings present. Irene Hoffman. Hello, Irene. Wow, a hot dog. I don't get that at all. Let's see.
That was in response
Auction off
to
Seinfeld's
car.
Porsche without telling him. Oh, that's funny.
Didn't he already do that? I thought he already did that. Didn't Seinfeld auction a bunch of his cars at Amelia Island at Gooding like 5 years ago?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
I think 11 of them. Mitch David Carter, hey, from North Carolina, hello.
Down the Carolinas.
And Tiny on the radio says, can't wait for Gran Turismo, the movie coming out in August 23.
Ooh.
How are you with car movies?
Car movies?
Yeah, do you like car movies?
Yeah, of course. You got to start with Bullet, right? I suppose that sets the standard pretty high with Bullet. Car chase scene.
Tell me why.
Well, first of all, it's cinematic, San Francisco, right? Mm-hmm. The squealing rubber, they're going around the same block 18 times. It's Steve McQueen. It's Americana. It's badass. I mean,
you got me on all of that.
You're not a fan of Bullet?
No, I mean, I like it because I'm supposed to. But every time I go to watch it, I go it's eye candy and I like it. But how good is the actual movie? And I can't actually say I can't find it being that good. But it doesn't mean I don't enjoy it.
Maybe it's like Le Mans, right?
Well, extremely similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Le Mans is that I don't even consider it a movie. You just put that on and leave it on in the background. Yeah, the sounds are so great. The visuals are just stunning. I guess it's sort of like Bullet.
I mean, for me, growing up as a kid, it was more American TV. Shows like The Rockford Files, Starsky and Hutch, Kojak, Dukes of Hazzard, Chips. So
Chips, A-Team, Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, that was just a great escape. Knight Rider. But I remember watching Rockford Files and even Columbo. But Starsky and Hutch, there was something about that Ford Torino with the big white lightning bolt strike swoosh down the side.
Little gumball.
Yeah, so, that was, for me, it was more TV shows than it was movies that got me into cars. But obviously, there are a lot of epic movies out there. Gone in 60 Seconds, Bullet, Ronin.
I finally saw Gumball Run for the first time.
Okay.
Damn good.
Damn good film.
Great car stuff. I mean, great car stuff. I hadn't seen that. I don't know. Maybe as a kid I did, but I didn't remember seeing it.
I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in the '80s. Miami Vice, right? All these things.
Oh, that was a good car show. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Miami Vice wasn't even a car show, but it was a good car show. Because you can't talk about Miami Vice without talking about Ferrari, the Daytona.
There was the Daytona or the Testarossa later,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So,
Tubbs.
that was sort of my era. Now, Miami Vice, the movie, that's a different story.
Yeah. Colin Farrell, Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
What'd you think? You liked it or no?
I like it. Cinematic.
I haven't seen
We
it.
tried to watch it the other day, though. Couldn't really get through it. It's
Michael
kinda-
Mann directed it. I remember
Yeah.
that.
I like Michael Mann films. Reminds me of Heat.
Heat's good.
The driving scene in
Downtown.
L.A. Yeah. So for me, anything that's shot in L.A. where you can go, we had this conversation before. I always go back to Bosch, right? You go, okay,
Perfect.
We've all gone to these places. Not that Bosch is a car show, but yeah, it's an L.A. show. So it just comes back
It's an
to
LA cop show, which by definition has a lot of cool car stuff in it.
yeah,
in my
for
opinion.
sure. For me, it's like living downtown. It's Batman, Gone in 60 Seconds, Terminator, Grease. These are all shot, kind of where I am downtown.
Batman?
Parts of it, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Lower Grand and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But Gone in 60 Seconds, Terminator,
Yeah.
the
Petersen Terminator. People don't really realize that.
yeah. So I'm all about LA being the hub of car culture. And that's why I like driving around. That's why I love LA, really.
Yeah. It is all of that, but it's also Hollywood. That's why I like the mixture of both. That's why I was asking about the car movies.
Hey, it's a movie town, right?
Roger Rabbit is one of my all-time sort of pseudo Los Angeles car movies, even though there's not many cars in it, because it tells the story of them disassembling the red car for the purposes of
You're talking about the Bob Hoskins film?
yeah.
Yeah.
The whole
Where it's
point
part
is,
animation?
it's Roger Rabbit, exactly.
I got to rewatch it.
Please, the whole
I got to rewatch it.
But it's about the disassembly of the red car for in favor of the freeway system.
Okay.
And the greed and all that behind that, but the big business behind it. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting.
Scandalous Hollywood back in the days, like L.A. Confidential.
Did you like that movie? That's
Yes,
you do.
I like that movie. You don't like L.A. Confidential?
I want to so badly.
Why don't you like it?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those where the sum of all the pieces is not as good as all the pieces.
I can't
interesting.
get into that one either.
Really?
You don't get into
Yeah.
it.
I feel like
I
I'm
couldn't
either
read
I'm
the
dumb and
book.
I'm missing something, or I'm above everybody else and they're all dumb.
I don't know. I couldn't read the book and I can't watch the movie.
I like everything about that old Hollywood. Like I
L.A.
love
corruption.
Well, I love corruption. No, I love all the art direction and the Danny DeVito, the and I love all of that. The first paparazzi and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I don't know.
What's the
maybe-
newspaper he writes for, Danny DeVito?
I can't remember. It's some blah 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 and very hush hush.
Yeah, hush hush.
On the
hush,
DL
hush.
and very
Yeah,
hush hush, something like that. On the QT and very hush hush.
QT. And then who's the model that they're always saying? The famous scene where at the restaurant on Santa Monica. Formosa, when he goes up and who's the actress you look like? And he goes, that is. It's not Rita Hayworth, but it's someone like that.
Yep.
It's a good
She
film.
has short hair too, I think. It's not Rita
Fleur de
Hayworth.
Lis, the Fleur de Lis.
Rita Hayworth is the prison movie. She's
Yeah.
on the poster on the wall.
What I like about that film is just yet again seeing Ellen.
Gloria Swanson. No, that's
Was
not
it Glo-
right.
No, it
no,
wasn't
that's
Gloria
not right.
Swanson. You got to rewatch L.A. Confidential.
Okay.
Tune in next time. We'll have an answer, I think.
We should start a movie club.
Yeah, L.A. Movie Club. Yeah. And there's cars in L.A. Confidential, right?
Yeah. That's any of those period cop movies or any LA cop thing is just
Right.
got cool cars in it to me. That Chips TV show was the best.
Yeah, I mean, that
Fall
was me.
Guy too. I forgot about that. Shit, there's so many good ones.
Good shows.
How's Hannah doing?
Hannah's good. She's busy. She's working out the Bloomberg office. She's driving a bunch of electric cars around.
She is?
Yeah, range anxiety when it comes to electric cars.
Yeah.
Like, we can't go there because, we only have 100 miles on the range and we don't know where we're going to charge it. And, of all the places we were talking about with the leaky roofs, of course we don't have electric charging stations where you can plug a car in. So, unless we're going to drive down somewhere and hopefully plug it in and charge, there's always range anxiety when it comes to electric cars.
I'm even trying to think about your setup at the house. It's more of a car lot than there's no.
There's no garage there.
You can have outdoor chargers though. You could have it if you
Yeah,
wanted.
but why
It would
would
sort of
we?
ruin the aesthetic.
Yeah, ruin the aesthetic of, the 1925 vibe. And, we don't own
The
an
Rolls
electric
Royces.
car. Yeah, I mean, how do you think I got here tonight? I drove the 69 Rolls. So, today I drove 3 cars. I drove my 75 308 GT4 Dino.
Oh, I love that car.
I drove that downtown.
Okay.
Then I drove the infamous 2014 Turbo S from downtown to downtown LA Porsche.
For service,
We've covered
okay.
that issue.
Oh, and then the.
And then on the way home, I drove the Roly Poly 69 Shadow Coupe. Park Ward. I still love that car.
That coupe's a good-looking
Yeah,
car.
great
The day
looking
I came upon you, just happenstance on the freeway once, I didn't know it was you, and I just was catching up to the car.
Yeah.
It was so cool. The coupes are just, it's got the same, is it the same exact length? It
Same
seems
wheelbase.
like the same length.
Yeah, they just sort of changed the body, obviously, where the two doors are quite a bit longer than the door on the four door.
But something about that, it really
Proportions
changes the look
work
of it.
really, really well on that car.
The Jag, whatever that Jag coupe. There was a like
The
whatever
420?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not good at
S-Type,
this.
something like that?
Yeah, I think so. It was just, there was like a mid-'80s.
Oh, XJS?
Perhaps.
Okay.
There was one that looked like the four-door, but they did a
Two-door version of it?
two-door version of it, and it was just always so. It's still to this day is so stunning to me. It's still got the 4 round lights out front, that gorgeous Jag grille.
Oh, it's a good-looking car. I mean, it's a conversation piece, that car. Everyone wants to talk about it. No one looks at it like you're a douchebag in a vintage Rolls Royce, which may happen in a new roly-poly.
Well, that could be you too, right?
Could be.
I mean, if
Could
you
be the hat or the beard.
you could be. You're not a douchebag in that car. If you're a douchebag in that car, it might be different. What about the Jags? How are the Jags doing? Are you driving them at all?
No, nothing's happening with the Jags. I'm not driving those.
I'm asking about all your British cars because you
yeah.
bought a Mini.
Bought a Mini, smart move. I've been driving that 76 Carrera I've got that was always packed, pushed in the back corner of the garage.
It's perhaps my favorite car you have.
It's a pretty rare car, It's an MFI one. It's Porsche's last production MFI car. Factory limited slip, sunroof delete, manual windows. They only made 113 of them. No one knows what it is. That one's just got enough beat up patina that it looks like an old SC or something.
I think why I like it is because I didn't know what it was, and you had to explain it to me. And then once I knew what it was, I felt like, oh, I'm in the know, and it's just damn cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a special car. So I've been driving that quite a bit.
It also sounds great when you drove off the other day. Very tastefully. It just sounds great. Very mechanical sounding.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take out this. I'm going to start tweaking around with that car. Did a little bit of paint job to it with the two-tone hood stripes. And it's got the original seats in it, but I've got these sort of late 70s, early 80s Porsche factory sport seats that have tartan inserts. And the tartan's blue. And I go, why have I not put those in that car? So, that's what I'm going to do maybe tomorrow, swap seats out in that car. I got to get all this stuff done before the other cars come back from the Petersen, because if I don't do it now, that car's going to get pushed back into the corner again. But I think I'm going to rearrange the garage and rearrange some of the priorities of cars that are more accessible.
Okay.
It's on the list of things
readjust
to do.
your bullpen, basically.
Yeah, move things around.
Okay.
Move some, front liners to the back row.
What are the plans? Because this was an undertaking, getting the 10 cars to the Petersen.
I don't have an official plan yet. It's 2 weeks to go. Because you were there, you drove the 993. We had 9 friends. We made that drive from downtown.
And your film.
The film,
public.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm not necessarily 100% sure I'm going to drive all 10 out at the same time next, in 2 weeks' time on a Tuesday night.
Seems risky for no payoff.
Yeah, I might make a couple of trips with a couple of people on like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, low-hanging fruit thing. So,
but beyond that, I didn't even mean about the drive. It was more on the lines of, every time I've gone there, and I've seen it probably 6 or 7 times since you moved in.
Oh, the Petersen thing.
Yeah, the Petersen garage.
UO10.
Sorry, and it keeps changing and evolving and growing.
Yeah.
So what I guess my point is, whatever you moved in however long it took you, there's a lot more there now.
Yeah. I mean, it's no longer 10 cars; it's 11 cars because I ended up bringing the 75 turbo in, and I brought the mirrors.
Cars out front. It looks better.
It looks better with both cars out front. I brought the mirrors in from the garage a few weeks into it, and it's funny. The Petersen was asking me, "Where'd you get those mirrors from?" It looks really good with those mirrors. We need some mirrors in that room, and
well, maybe they make you an offer. You just leave them there and go get some new mirrors.
Nah, I'm not
yourself.
leaving them there yet. Those are got to go back to the garage.
They look like dance studio mirrors,
Well,
or production mirrors.
The funny part to the story is you go, where'd you get them? I go, you're not going to believe it, but we did this reality show called The Pussycat Dolls where they were sort of looking for dancers. And they were left over from that show.
At your loft.
At the loft, literally probably at least 12 years ago. And they're just like 8x4 foam core wrapped in Mylar, put on a very light aluminum stand. So they weigh nothing. They weigh about 5 pounds.
You can move them around.
You move them around. I mean, I shoehorned 12 of them into the back of a van and just drove them to the Petersen, rolled them in there. So,
All right, so they can't have your pussy doll mirrors, but we'll
they
get
can't
them
have my
later on.
pussy doll mirrors. No.
Pussycat doll mirrors.
Who wants to be a pussy doll? Pussycat. What is it?
That's how rumors get started. Holy crap.
That's where the mirrors came from. Pussycat dolls.
Thank
That's
you.
who it is.
Thank you.
Hey, you got to be careful.
What else? What else?
I don't know. You tell me.
Veronica Lake.
Veronica Lake. There you go.
The actress from
L.A. Confidential.
What did you think of that movie?
That
Bobby?
is Veronica Lake.
You're a film buff as well.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I really did enjoy it, especially for the way that it was shot and the artistry and all that. I didn't attach to the story as much as some people did.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I
then
think if I was
that's
from LA, like I think it was sort of a love letter to LA though, and I'm not from LA.
well, if the love letter says how corrupt and dirty and
Yeah.
fucked up it all is.
Hey, that's L.A.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
The grit and the grime and the glamour all together.
But I align exactly with what you said about, you enjoyed the way it was shot and everything, and then just maybe the story. I don't know. It's kind of a downer too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a downer movie.
I guess maybe that was it. I was hoping for some kind of a
Uplifting.
maybe.
Yeah.
What's
Watch a
your
Disney
favorite
movie or something.
Like if you're going to be home with Hannah, it's raining and you don't have holes
Well,
to patch and rivers to
My
direct.
favorite movie and a movie that Hannah will watch are two different things. My favorite movie to answer your question is Blade Runner.
Ooh,
The original one. Original one. That and the soundtrack. The second one, I'm really liking that film too.
Do you care which version of the original Blade Runner? There's like 3 or 4 different versions.
Director's cut, this, that, and the other. No,
final cut just
I
came
don't.
out.
I don't care. It's a soundtrack. Yet again, it's set in LA. It's rainy. It's cinematic. It's
It is.
futuristic, but it's 80s.
The soundtrack's nuts. Is it Marconi? Is that who
No,
did it?
Vangelis,
Vangelis, okay.
who did Chariots of Fire.
Whoa.
Same guy.
Also LA, wasn't that LA?
LA?
Is that the running one?
Chariots of Fire
I
is
get
set
that
in England,
confused. Oh, then that's not the one.
Yeah, not the one. Set in the 20s in England.
What's the one with the running?
That's Chariots of Fire, but
Oh, then I have it wrong.
1920s in England.
Okay.
A bunch of Hooray Henrys running the mile or something.
I'm so off.
Produced
base
by
that I'm
Dodi
thinking of a
Fayed.
totally
No.
different movie. What'd you think I'm thinking of?
Produced by Dodi Fayed, by the way. Princess
true.
Di's
That is
lover.
true.
He produced,
Oh.
This is true.
Chariots of Fire.
Wow.
True story. Yeah. You must have been watching some sort of Charles and Di thing. Or Meghan and Harry or something like that. Gets confusing.
Dodi Fayed was Princess Diana's boyfriend when
Yeah.
they got
Correct.
killed
In the
together, right?
limo, yeah.
Good grief. Gee, see, I'm learning everything these days.
Yeah, but back to Hannah and I watching stuff. Our new little thing that started last night, and I'd seen it before, but Hannah hadn't, was Idiot Abroad. Have you seen this show?
Yeah.
So we're all about watching Idiot Abroad. That's what we're going to do tonight. Going to go binge watch a couple of episodes of Idiot
I
Abroad.
think I've only seen maybe the first episode way back when.
When he goes to China with the wall.
I guess so. Whenever it came out 3 or 4 years ago.
Keep watching, because, he goes around the world. So.
There are other places. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of other places to send an Idiot Abroad.
What about the one with where Phil from Everybody Loves Raymond eats? Somebody feed Phil?
I haven't seen that.
No?
No.
It's surprisingly good.
Where is it shot? L.A.?
Everywhere.
Okay.
He's same thing. He travels all
He
around
travels
and
all around.
eats food. But it's the producer from Everybody Loves Raymond, Phil
Okay.
Rosenthal. So it's somewhat.
So it's like Anthony Bourdain's No Reservation without Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah.
Sort of, but different.
Yeah, except it's a guy who is just sort of along for the ride. Unlike Anthony Bourdain, it was sort of it was his, here's what Anthony Bourdain thinks of this. It's called Somebody Feed Phil? Somebody Feed Phil.
I think so, yeah.
I've often wanted to do a show about the bearded guy's guide to fine dining, but based around stuff like fish and chips.
Okay.
I'm always on this rant about trying to find good fish and chips. Not that easy.
Best margarita, things like that.
Yeah, more basic. Best place to get Indian food. Not 5-star gourmet dining, just everyman food.
I'm just trying to think of the
Best place
places
to
you
get
go.
a grilled
How do we get El
cheese.
Compadre in there?
Yeah, El Compadre. Best place. El Compadre is weird. Like, we love the Echo Park one on Sunset, downtown almost. But the LA one on Hollywood, every time we go, we're obviously going at the wrong time, but we've gone 4 or 5 times. You can't get in. It's packed. It's super touristy. There's an hour wait. You can't eat at the bar because the bar's packed.
Do you think that's Bosch or do you think it's Hollywood Boulevard? What do you think that is? Because it didn't used to be that way. We used to go in there all the time. And it was
You're
dark
talking about the
and
Hollywood
dead.
one opposite the Guitar Center.
Yes, and it used to be empty and.
It's got to
fucking
the point
dead.
where we've just stopped going because 4 out of 5 times we've gone, it's frustrating because you go on a Tuesday at 5:30, think you're just going to waltz in like we
Taco
would downtown.
Tuesday. What are you doing?
Oh, all right, we're going on a Wednesday at 5:30. And it's like an hour-long wait. Whereas the one
That's crap.
Well, in Echo Park, we'd always just sit at the bar. It would be awesome.
Is there still the one across from the Staples Center? Staples Center. How old I am. There used to be one that opened up. I used to go to it before the auto show when I used to drink.
Oh, really?
My buddy Jason in the old days.
An El Compadre?
Oh, shit. I really thought so. Yeah.
No,
No? Okay.
not that.
Fine.
Although
I can't think of anything over where that even used to be because that whole area is so built up.
Yeah,
I realize
so,
I'm answering my own
30,
thing.
40-story condo apartments and stuff.
When you moved to... What year did you move downtown? 90s? 90s.
1992, 30 years
So
ago.
that's before Staples Center even.
Yeah, I
That
wasn't even there.
Was the Coliseum? You had the Coliseum,
Coliseum was there. That's been there since the 20s. The convention center was there, and everything that you're talking about now that's a 30-story condo tower were just car parks.
That's
and
what I remember.
Little single-level sort of fabric warehouses,
Yep.
a little gritty, pretty desolate. No one cared about it. No one went there.
When they built the Staples Center in the mid-late 90s, whatever that was, exactly what you're talking about. Everything around it was nothing but
Right.
parking lots.
Parking lots for the convention center, of which no one really went to because they'd all go to conventions in Vegas.
Right. Do you...
Do what? Who, what? Now you're just rambling.
I am. I almost asked you a really stupid question. I go, do you go to the auto show? I went with you this year, so obviously you do.
Yeah.
And we had a grand old time, so...
Yeah, I go to the LA Auto Show.
What do you think? What did you think of this year compared to years past?
Slim. I mean, in the past few years, I did these cool outlaw tours where I'd sort of go in on press day and show people around what I thought was cool or what I personally liked.
As yourself, you would walk people around?
Yeah, I probably did it like 5-6 years ago, 2-3 years in a row, where it'd be like little Instagram contests, and I'd pick, or the LA Auto Show people would pick 10 winners, and 2 of the friends, I'd meet them out front on like a Wednesday or Thursday press day, and I'd show them around what I thought was cool.
So that I'm a contest winner, basically. I
Yeah,
bumped
you're-
into you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
you're
we
a
did
contest winner. Yeah, no, there was no contest this year. I mean, it's just it's sparse, right? You know, it's not what it was. In general, auto shows are dying. Car manufacturers are choosing other places to debut cars.
Yeah.
Whether it's like Pebble Beach or Amelia Island or Villa d'Este or they're just not doing car shows to launch cars anymore.
Yeah.
So they're dwindling. It'll be a thing of the past pretty soon.
I guess when I was a kid, it was where you used to go to, see the metal and touch the stuff, and you could sit in all the cars and everything. I don't know if the kids care about that as much these days. The more sort of appliance-like the vehicles get, it seems like there's less of that. Ooh, this one's got this, and this one's got
I mean,
this.
people don't go to the LA Auto Show to special order their paint to sample 911 anymore, right? They don't
Right.
do that. That's not done at an auto show. So
That's one of the booths that actually impressed me this year was the fact that Porsche was a little more light and fun compared to previous
Car
years. Where it's
this,
a little
Dakar
more
that.
well, I don't care about the content. It was a lighter atmosphere. Sometimes it's kind of sterile over there.
yeah, well,
Don't touch anything.
That's right, yeah.
Keep your shit in check. that kind of thing.
monochromatic,
Yeah.
black, gray, white.
I didn't find that at all this year.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing.
You disagree?
No, I don't disagree.
No opinion. Fair enough.
No comment.
Fair enough.
You're running out of things to ask me. I can tell.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, we hit all the stuff we were supposed to, but we really blew through it.
What time is it?
It's been an hour. I mean, you can leave if you want, but I'm not. I mean,
No,
I'm
still
enjoying your company.
No rush. I'm always curious to know how quick this thing goes. Like I say before, it's Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, right?
We're doing
Thanksgiving,
it all over.
Halloween,
It's summertime.
summertime blues.
Something I've never asked you, and I hope it's okay.
Go for it.
It came
Time
up.
will tell.
Yeah,
We're gonna find out real soon.
No, it's all right. It came up. I hope it's all right. It came up on a Facebook memory this week, and it's one of the things that made me think of you because I always wanted to ask this and never got to. Way before, years and years ago, before I knew you, but it must have been after the movie came out because 277 was already famous. There was a time when you were driving a journalist around and got in a little fender bender.
Yeah.
What's the story there? What happened that day? And then, because I've never heard you talk about it, I've never asked you,
He's
and
one
it
of those-
just seemed like,
One of those, I'll just leave it at shit happens type of thing.
oh, okay,
Yeah, I just leave it at that.
oh, fair enough, okay, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Can I ask
Well,
you a
then I am
question?
out of things to ask you.
Yeah. All right.
But you fixed the
Can I
car.
ask you
I
a
guess
question?
I don't care about what happened that day, but 277 looks unscathed. How does one do that? How does it get fixed so well and look like it's not been?
Well, we talked about people modifying cars earlier on, and these things, the old metal's metal. You just cut and weld and put back together.
I guess, but you did such a good job of making it look like it never did, if that makes sense.
It's Hollywood.
The car is
It's the same.
You had Hollywood do it. Oh.
No. It's the same car. That's still my baby 277. It's still the car. It's the one that's closest to my heart. It's got everything you know about it, the shoes, the Hot Wheels. That is my baby 277.
You used to call it your favorite. Is
Still
that
is.
still fair?
Of all the cars I've got, that's still my favorite. So yeah, that is the second Porsche I ever bought, the one I've owned the longest. It's the 71, as you know, this year. It's 52 years old. I've owned it since 1999 for 24 years. So
What's your second favorite? That's tough.
it's tough. It varies. It depends where I'm going and how I want to get there. It really
Whichever
does.
one you're driving. Do you fall in love with whichever one you're driving? Is it like that or?
No, not necessarily. Like the 964, that's the most performance-orientated build to date. It's the one that's got all the modifications. But yeah, I'm not super connected with that car because, believe it or not, even though I finished it 7 years ago, I don't really drive that car that much.
I've never seen you drive it.
So,
Do you drive it at all?
yeah,
I mean, it got to the Petersen, obviously.
it gets driven. It's just not a great street. It's almost too much for the street. I need to change
okay.
It's too loud. It's too raspy. It's too drony. It needs a muffler is what it needs. It needs a muffler to quieten it down. It's too drony.
It's so good looking.
Yeah, that is a lot of car for sure.
I learned stuff about that car by getting your tour at the Petersen.
Yeah,
the turbo tail, the non-turbo,
there's
whatever
a lot,
it was.
yeah,
it was
there's a
custom.
lot involved in that car. That is the best build I've done to this day. And as you know, this thing's just a hobby for me. So sometimes I'm building, sometimes I'm not building. So
Well, that was somebody asked you to build it, didn't they? Didn't somebody ask
no.
you?
No one's ever. People ask me all the time to build cars, but I've never built a car for anyone.
You were already building it, and then Momo asked you to speed it up or something. There was something to that. No,
Not with the
I made it up.
964.
Okey-doke. Fair enough. When I say I learned stuff, I mean I don't know what I took in.
Yeah. No, there's no Momo affiliation with that car or any car other than
But
the
there was
Momo wheel.
Where did you display it at the? It was displayed at the auto show.
It was displayed on the Pirelli booth at the LA Auto Show in 2015.
I saw it there.
Yeah, Pirelli, not Momo.
That's
Pirelli.
Yellow and red. I guess I got a little confused. But
One
so
company
was that-
makes tires, the other one makes steering wheels.
Is that what it was though? We were already working on that car, and then they said, "Hey, do you want to display a car?" And then that's what got it into, or that just.
No, I'd done stuff with Pirelli before, like I've done stuff with Mobile One before. That was just an opportunity to put a car in the LA Auto Show in 2015.
Okay.
And I just finished that car literally like a month before. So that was how that car ended up at the Pirelli booth, not to be confused with Momo.
Sorry.
At the LA Auto Show in
Sorry.
2015. Yeah,
You've
that
had
was-
so many affiliations with so many top tier products. It's hard to keep
not
them
really,
all
not
straight.
really. I mean, you put them on one hand. I'm pretty selective as to who I collaborate with.
Perfect.
The
perfect
Pirelli
segue.
story was pretty interesting because Paul Hembry, who was in charge of Pirelli Motorsports, a lot of people come to visit me. And the Momo story was the same story. Enrique came to visit me, saw that a lot of my cars had vintage Momo steering wheels, Protipos and Jackie Stewart's. And long story short, that was how the steering wheel collab came along. Pirelli story is pretty similar. Paul Hembry was here for Long Beach Grand Prix. Everyone's here for either Long Beach Grand Prix or LA Auto Show or press drives. But the Paul Hembry story was pretty interesting because he's like, wow, you don't have any Pirelli tires on your car. You've got all these Hoosiers. I go, yeah, because Pirelli doesn't make anything under an 18-inch tire, 18-inch diameter in a performance tire. I go, you're missing a whole market here by not having a 15, 16, 17-inch tire, sport purpose, sticky rubber. I go, why don't you do a Trofeo R in those sizes? It's not just Porsche, it's everyone from like 1960 up to 1990 that's running 15, 16, 17
All
inch.
the import cars would run on it.
Yeah. So he was smart enough to realize, we just need to make a mold. We've already got the compound of sticky rubber, right? Stop faster, corner better, highest cornering speed and stuff like that. So they actually listened and issued a limited availability of tires in 15, 16, and 17 inch. So from that meeting was how I ended up at the LA Auto Show with Pirelli.
Wow.
But I don't have a Pirelli endorsement or anything. But, you know,
but you got him to make the tires you needed, which is pretty boss.
Yeah, in 15, 16, 17s, you know, it's like the 914 at the Petersens rolling on Pirelli Trofeo R, 225, 50, 15 all round.
On your Outlaw wheels, right?
Yeah, on the Outlaw wheel. So a lot of times it's availability, which is why I like Hoosiers. It's availability of rubber in smaller diameter sizes, right? No one's running an 18-inch wheel on anything prior to, you know, 1995. You know, it's like big wheels don't look good. Big wheel, low-profile tire, in my eye, doesn't look good on a 60s and 70s car.
Right, yeah.
You got to go period correct, which is where the Hoosier works, because you can get an availability of wide widths. You know, the Michelin TB15 is kind of like the choice tire, you know, for 15, 16, 17-inch wheels. But really, 15's where it's at on anything up to, you know, mid-70s, especially turbo application or RSIs. You know, you run a 15 by 8, 9, and 10 or 8 and 11s or whatever it is, depending on the fender flare of your car.
I love the look of that. A
Yeah.
15-inch wheel and a really fat tire.
Meaty,
Love
beady,
that.
big and bouncy. That's what's good about my turbo. You know, it's got that aggressive looking 225, 275, 50, 15 rubber stacked on a 8 and 10-inch wheel. It just,
Is that the silver one?
the silver one.
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that look. I thought of what else I wanted to talk to you
All
about.
right.
We lost Ken Block last week.
Well, 2 weeks
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago yesterday, yeah.
Friend of yours, you went to
Yeah.
the memorial out there in Colorado?
We were there last Thursday, yeah, Park City. It was I mean, it's still, when I think about it, 15 days later, it's unbelievable. It's devastating. It's like, how did this happen? You know, this kind of thing. It didn't happen, but yet it did. And the memorial was, on one hand, really heavy, but on the other hand, it was a celebration of his life and everything he did. And, you know, he lived 10 lifetimes in 55 years. And from that point of view, it was an uplifting thing.
Oh, I'm glad.
You know, it was a whirlwind trip. We flew out to Salt Lake City and drove out to Park City and then flew back the same day. So
Oh, wow.
we did it in a day. Well, did it in 12 hours, but yeah, it's just, it's devastating. It's a tough thing, really.
We lost a friend somewhat recently, and you said to me, it's never easy.
No, I've been there myself, and words can't describe it. People heal in different ways, in different time periods, and it's just hard to even sort of put into emotion as to, in a way, Ken Block had the impact of influencing and inspiring everyone that's in the car world, and he brought people together. That was, you know, everyone's watched the Gymkhana videos and everything else he's done, but the celebration last Thursday was just, you saw the skate guys from 30 years ago, the DC shoe guys, you saw the X Games guys, you saw the motocross guys, the skate, the snowboard. He just continues to bring people together who are not necessarily in the same arena. And that was, you know, one of the greatest things about him. It's just, you know, I perhaps one of my favorite Ken Block stories ties into the Need for Speed video game in 2015. I don't know if I've told you this story before, but I don't play video games, so I got approached to be in the Need for Speed video game with 277. And I'm like, they're trying to get me in the game, and I said to them, you know, it's EA games, and they were based in Sweden, and they got the video game guy on a conference call with me, and I go, I just don't really, I get it, but I don't relate to it because I don't play video games. And I'd literally said, you know, I'm going to pass on it. And then the same day, Ken Block turned up at my garage downtown. Literally, I hear this banging on the door. You've been there. There's no doorbell. I hear the banging on the door, and Ken Block's there, and he said to me, so I hear we're going to be in Need for Speed together.
Oh, my God.
And I said to him, I go, did they send you here? Anyone from EA send you here? He goes, no, I'm shooting some promo for the Gymkhana 5 or 6, whichever the LA one was, which,
Right.
you know, is my all-time number 2. I rank it San Francisco first, LA second. But I go, did they send you here? He goes, no, what do you mean? I go, well, I kind of told him I'm not doing it. And the moral to the story was Ken Block knocking on my door saying, I hear we're going to be in Need for Speed together, was a catalyst for me to say, you know what, I fucked up, I made a mistake. Let's I'll do it. Let's do this. It's going to be great. I'll be in it with Ken Block, right? So
They didn't mention him ahead of time?
No, they did. They did. But it was just...
Adds a little bit of credibility in my mind, just
Yeah.
like you do once you're on board.
Yeah, I knew he was in it, but it was more...
Yeah.
The knock at the door, I open the gate, it's Ken Block. I hear we're going to be in Need for Speed together.
The synchronicity.
Yeah, it was a catalyst to go, what am I thinking? If it's good enough for Ken Block, of course it's good enough for me, right? So it was an honor to be in that game, and we ended up doing some promo stuff for it in Germany at some video game conference. I used to forget what it was, but there's been a lot of events down the road, and I'm getting older, my memory's fading, but I got quite a few Ken Block stories. When he was shooting the LA Gymkhana, he actually shot it on the 4th Street Bridge, not the 6th Street Bridge, and I remember they'd close the bridge off, and I'd literally live 100 yards from that bridge. I heard all the noise going on, so I walk out there, and the minivan, they're trailing people around in the minivan, and I'm walking up the bridge. And
this was the Mustang one, right?
It's such a great film. It starts on Anderson where the Mustang's chained down, and he heads west over the 4th Street Bridge, and he makes the left onto Molino Street, ironically. And anyway, the point to this story was, the minivan slows down. Ken Block's in the minivan. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing on my bridge?" I go, "Hey, I thought it was my bridge. Come on." My bridge was more the 6th Street Bridge, but he ripped the 4th Street Bridge. So. Yeah, heavy, big loss.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss and the rest of the car communities as well.
Yeah,
it seems to be that's what everyone seems to take away is that he was very special in that he united a bunch of different motorsports entities that wouldn't normally have been connected.
Yeah, he just brought the best. Hearing people tell the stories last week about how Ken saw things in them that they didn't probably see in themselves and nurtured that talent and opened a few doors for people to walk through and, sort of brought people up with him was a message that I heard over and over again. So big loss for everyone. Big loss.
R.I.P. Ken Block. All right, you've done it. That's an emotional note to end on.
Yeah, emotional note for sure. Well, thanks again.
Thanks for being here, buddy. Urban Outlaw 10 is
UO10.
at the Petersen for 2 more weeks.
Yeah, January 31st.
Other People's Porsches may or may not premiere on January 31st on your Magnus Walker YouTube channel.
That's right, on the YouTube channel. Stay tuned. But I think January 31st will be the first one.
It's a good date. You can be followed at Magnus Walker or Magnus Walker YouTube channel. Everything's Magnus Walker with you, right?
Man with a beard, Magnus Walker. That's me.
Did you get your web store open again?
Yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. That's another thing that I'm sort of just not gung-ho with right now. But yeah, the web store is open. But it tied into it was just sort of doing some UO10 merch. I think that will be the catalyst to actually doing new stuff.
Okay.
But yet that means finding a new sort of art guy that can take the idea in my head and make it something that you print on a T-shirt. So I'm also looking for that guy along with the carpenter and the roofer and the wrought iron guy and the faux finish painter. So yeah, if anyone's out there is good at graphics, drop me a line or something.
All right. Other than that, follow Magnus Walker. I think that's it. Mike, I think we'll just shut it down if that's all right with you.
No problem. I was wondering if I could ask Magnus one question.
Please, jump in.
Sure, go for it.
Jump in.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm the guy that goes to see exhibitions of the things that I like. And so I just found it very cool to hear that over this past 2.5 months or so, you have made your way down there so much and been so accessible. As somebody who would travel to go see something that I like, I was curious if whenever you would kind of pop your head out there to see your own exhibition, if you surprised anybody, if somebody was like, "Oh my God, Magnus is actually here." I was wondering if that ever happened at all. And then I was also wondering if any of the people that you met did or said anything to you and interacted with you during the exhibition that surprised you.
Great questions. I mean, first one, I just go down there to surprise people who don't expect me to be there, is why I go down there. I got too much time on my hands to kill. Plus, I'm missing, 10 of my cars that are down there. So that's kind of part of what that is. It opened up the door to do, I guess, quite a lot of press. Like today, the Hemmings News thing. I met them.
Oh, that was today?
Yeah, it was today.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I mean, they did a photo shoot weeks ago, which I'd forgotten about, and now they want to write the story about it. So a lot of it is sort of meeting people that I would normally meet at the warehouse. So that probably answers part one. And part two was people. What was the second part of your question? Was I surprised?
Well, I was just
by what
wondering if
people said?
if somebody was surprised to see you and maybe they asked you something or did something that surprised you at the exhibition. Did you learn anything from it? Were you surprised at all by anything now that you can kind of look back at it?
Well, I'm learning to become a docent at the Petersen, which will give me more time at the Petersen Museum. No joking aside, I'm actually looking forward to being a docent in the vault. So I've got to learn about all the cars that are in the vault from what I call the old shit, the pre-war stuff from 120 years ago.
All the doocies and all that.
Yeah, all the way through, the movie cars. Is this the real Batmobile?
I'll
Is
help
it the
you with the
fake
movie
one?
cars.
How many Magnum PI Ferrari 328s do they really have there? There's just a lot of stuff
None.
there.
It's a 308. Come on, get your shit together.
Well, these are things I need to learn, but I think he drives a 328.
Is that true? In my mind, I always thought it was a 308.
Well,
so I
they
could
look
be
the
wrong.
same, but I think it's a 328 that
You
he
could
drives.
be right.
I think he's driving.
What was the license plate on the Magnum
don't
PI
know.
Ferrari? Anybody?
Anybody?
Says it's a 308.
Really?
And the
Well, you know more than I know.
The
That's
what it
license plate.
says.
Well, movie cars is my.
Yeah.
And the license plate was Robin 1.
Oh. So I'm going to ask you the questions about being a docent at the Petersen. then.
Only
When
in the movie cars. I
When
don't
it
know
comes to
anything else.
movie cars. So, it's been a great ride that hopefully keeps rolling, would be my answer to the Petersen exhibition, yeah.
I look forward to seeing whatever happens with you and them next. If it's just you being a docent or whatever.
I'm doing a few other things with them. The great thing about the Petersen is accessibility to a lot of really, really cool cars. Along with the GT40 that I drove at Willow Springs. And, they got a lot of cool stuff there I want to
classic
drive.
vintage.
They got that Bugatti EB110. I want to drive that. They got the Jag XJ220. I want to drive
Ooh,
that.
that would be-
They have a 64 911. I want to drive that. There's just a lot of cool cars there. So
Getting the Vector.
I would love to drive. I'm sure the Vector
Really?
will be anticlimactic because it's
Yeah.
automatic. It's not going to be fast, but it looks cool, right?
It does look cool.
So, yeah, the Vector's on the list. There's a few other things on the list there. So I'm down with the Petersen and what they've got.
Other people's Porsches comes
Yeah.
out on 131. We good to wrap it up, Mike? You good?
You betcha. Great
Check
show,
out
guys.
Letterman Podcast this week with your guest, Rupert.
Thanks to Irene Hoffman, Rupert G.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. Awesome. All right. I love you. We love you, Mr. Magnus Walker.
I feel the love. I love the haircut.
Please send love to Hannah.
I will do so.
And Willow, of course.
And we'll see you up the crest
And
on
Jet.
Friday.
What's going on with Jet?
Well, there was a Jet update. Jet's downtown, but what we're going to do is relocate Jet to Hollywood.
Okay.
We're going to put her in her own. The problem is we didn't do a good job integrating Willow and Jet together. So I'm trying to take, Jet's upstairs at the loft downtown. The other day, literally yesterday, I take Willow up there once in the morning, no problem, off leash. I go up there in the afternoon, off leash. She starts chasing Jet around again. So I think I've got to really control the environment, try to reintroduce them again with Willow on the leash.
Do you think the house will be different too? Like
I think
the
the house will be
environment is a little
different because it's small. It's not big and open.
Right. The cat can go hide places.
Yeah, so it's just, and there's not, hopefully it won't be Willow chasing Jet around the house.
Up the stairs, down the stairs, up the stairs, down the stairs.
Yeah,
Brings
so
like 5 different stories. It's
Jet
ridiculous.
is doing well. Jet probably needs more attention than she's getting. Hopefully we can integrate Willow and Jet together at the house in Hollywood.
If Jet
That'll
ever,
be the goal.
ever needs a play date, just bring Jet over here.
So if we need a dog whisperer to come in and help us out with the integration of cat and dog, or maybe you've got a cat here, right, somewhere?
23-year-old cat.
Wow.
Almost 24.
Wow, no
We did the
way.
math the other day. We can't believe it.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jet's probably 15, actually.
Oh, plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty
Yeah.
of time.
All right. I
All
love
right.
you, Magnus Walker.
Feel the love. Cheers.
See you out there, everybody. We'll see you. Oh, shit. Let's see.
Don't forget.
Yeah. Follow Magnus Walker, New Life.
You did that.
Thursday, we're back with Lynn Woodward. Next week, Tedward is here. That's funny. Tedward's here. Also, Sarah Halstead and Rich Chassler will be here. Lots of stuff going on. Later in the month, Byron Bowers and some more stuff.
Pedal to the metal.
Yep. Love everybody. See you later.
Rock on. All right, yeah.
Out.